All right, here we go.
Yay.
Okay, hello to all of you who have joined us today, and to all of you who might be watching the replay. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jessica Korff, and I own Fleur Photography, focusing mainly on headshots and branding, as well as recently we've launched the Women in Business magazine, Success REfashiond, where the goal really is about support and growth and visibility for local women in business. In our current situation, and the layout of how business is being run has definitely changed. And I believe going forward, even as we open up, it's going to continue to look really different. In order to continue serving, I've decided to begin interviewing other local businesses who are taking this time and they're diving in. They're getting creative, they're making an impact, or they have expertise that can help guide the rest of us through all these uncertain times. Today I have with me Chrisie Ballard with B&I Sozona. Hello, Chrisie. Thank you for being at the meeting with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Please tell us a little bit about you, like personally, and what you do. Of course, your business.
All right, a little bit about me. So I am a Tucson native. I have been here my entire life. So I love to shoot pool. We were just discussing this actually before. One of the things that I actually love to do is shoot pool. My husband and I are on a couple of leagues here in town. Obviously that's changed recently, so I'm definitely missing all of my pool peeps. But I've been in Tucson my entire life. We have lived a couple of other places just for a short amount of time, but for the most part, I grew up here. I went to elementary school and junior high school here. So let's see, what do I do now? Well, I own B&I, which is Business Network International. It's an international franchise. Bill and I own the Sozona region, which is 6 counties in southern Arizona. Previously to that, my B&I compadres know that I actually played Bugs Bunny for a little bit for Warner Brothers. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. It was a pretty great job. I know, Susan's like, pick me. I have a question about that. I was also in daycare for years, actually, before I had my own children. And that's how I met my first husband, because I actually took care of my bonus kids. So very thankful for that piece of my life. And then how I came into B&I was I was a residential real estate appraiser. So I was in the real estate appraisal field for about 16 years and came into B&I. And then through the course of life changes and everything in 2010, the franchise came up for sale and I purchased it, and best business decision I ever made. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I love every time I hear that you were Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, people are always like, wait, I don't understand. How does that really work? But it happened.
Okay, so tell me, what's your situation right now? How has the pandemic affected you and your business?
So B&I is an international company. We've got over 270,000 members in over 70 countries worldwide. So there were some countries that were affected sooner than the United States, obviously. So they had a heads up. They knew, we had a lot of members that were deeply affected in China and in France. And so B&I Global got ahead of things, so to speak, and created an online platform. So B&I is very face-to-face. That's what we're known for. People have always said, when are you going to stop doing that? And we're all like, no, that's who we are. Fundamentally, that's how we build the relationships that we do, is that face-to-face interaction. So the good news is that our CEO had the forethought to know that the possibility was that we were going to be in a position that we are in fact in, where things were going to really shift and change. And so in the course of less than 14 days, we migrated literally over 200,000 members to an online platform. So people ask, has it changed the business? And I say, no, B&I is the same as it was before. We've just simply moved to a different platform to offer what we offer. It feels different. The members would definitely say that. And yet I always hear from the members, man, I am so thankful that we can still attend a meeting every week, because there's a lot of organizations that they weren't ahead of the game. So it's one of the great things about being in an organization of our size, because it gave us a leg up, so to speak. So it has changed our business, but the fundamental business hasn't changed.
Yeah, I was impressed. I am a member of BNI, and I think it was 1 week that I remember from the knowledge that we were going to be moving to when we were online. And so that's such a massive feat. And I think that it's incredible that they were really on it.
Yeah, I have to say I've definitely worked harder. It's not a difficult business. I didn't know I was going to have to be Zoom oriented. I could probably teach classes on it now at the universities, I feel like. So it's been that transition has been different for sure, that I'm really used to training and being in front of people. That's how I get my energy. That's one of the things that I love about this business, and having to wrap my head around the fact that I'm looking at everybody's face, including my own, which is a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
That's been a shift for sure.
Okay, so I would love to ask you then what you have brought for us today, what tips you're going to bring along. I'm sure with everything that we've gone into at this point, you have so much to share. So you now have the floor.
I now have the floor, and you told me like 10 to 15 minutes, right? Which is just funny. I know I've got some BNI members that I can see, and they're like, really, Chrissy's going to get through a topic in 10 to 15 minutes. That's just the funniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. All right. I am going to get through. So what we really wanted to talk about, Jessica and I had met before, and, how do we stay connected in this new virtual reality? So that's really what I wanted to touch on today. Again, one of the things that's so different about not being in front, and I've got a couple trainers on that are in the room with me, usually you can just hold your paper and you can move it. When you're doing this, I'm always like, does it look weird if I looked right? What do I do? It's just so funny how the change in mind shift. So for the first time in our lifetimes, I am 50. For the first time, we are in a place where everyone around the world is being affected by the same thing. Affected in their business, affected in their home, affected in their brain, in their heart. I mean, if there's someone out there that isn't being affected, they're somewhere in a very, very remote portion of the world, which we might think, gosh, how awful. And at this point, I'm thinking, I may actually, I may revel in not knowing all of the things that I know right now. But it leads us into the fact that we really are going to be dealing with this situation differently. And I think we've seen it for our organization. The days run into days. That's one of my challenges with, I have no idea what day it is, which is awful. But I think we're in our 6th week of being online. And so we've seen this transition of how people are coping and handling it. And some are doing a really good job, and some are really having a hard time. And what's been eye-opening for us is the ones that are having the hard time are not always the ones that it's because their businesses have closed. I've heard some fantastic stories come out from our clients of what they've used this time to do and to be productive, and how do they shift and change their mindset around how they're going to do business when we come out of this. I'm not going to use the term back to normal because I think we're past that point at this point. And I think we've got to accept the fact that there's going to be some things that are fundamentally going to be different, whether we want them to or not. So what I think and I believe is that now more than ever, it's a time when even the disconnected type of human being is realizing how much they want to be connected. And it's connected in business. It's connected with their family. I mean, I'm hearing and seeing these stories about, you know, families that they didn't get together in person as much as they're getting together on Zoom to play Pictionary or Scrabble or whatever it is. That's a good thing. That, you know, it's some things that have forced us to actually change some things in our life that maybe aren't so bad. And one of the things that we talk about too is people and businesses are in different phases. They're just in different phases. So you've got the people that are really busy, crazy busy. You've got the people that have pivoted. I know people are so tired of that word, but you guys come up with another one. Let me know. I feel like just, you know, it's the word of the century right now. They've pivoted. They've changed their ideas. They're talking to people. They're coming up with different income streams. They're getting creative. And then you've got the people that are really, truly heartbroken because they actually cannot offer the service or product that they love. Our photographers, our health and wellness people, our massage therapists. I mean, the list is long. It's long. And so many of those people do what they do because they love to connect. They love to be with their clients. They love to be with their customers. And that isn't happening. And so how do we stay connected? Are they all dealing with different things? I would say they are. And they've still got some things that are fundamentally the same. A busy person or a non-busy person is still juggling things we've never juggled before. I mean, unless you already homeschooled your kids, that's a whole new thing. That's a whole new thing. I don't have children at home, but I have a granddaughter that visits me. So you know, I'm always like, hey, I'm on a meeting. Grandma, I have a question. You can't ask me a question. You know, the things that normally wouldn't happen when I'm at a meeting or at a training. So, you know, the juggling aspect of it, I think, is the same, whether you're busy, whether you've pivoted, or whether you're not. We're still juggling different things. The people that have pivoted are having to really think outside of the box. Some of those people that have pivoted probably had the idea, wanted to do some different things, and put it off and put it off and put it off. And now all of a sudden they're like, well, I got time. It may be the time to come up with something now. I know we have great marketing experts in our organization. I see Martha on here, and Susan does a lot with marketing as well. You know, those marketing experts are now the go-to people. You know, the people that were like, I'll put it off, I'll wait. Now they're calling them up and saying, I need help. Like, help me come up with a different plan. Help me come up with a different strategy. So I try to be the positive and supportive person. The majority of the time I can pull that off. I've had my moments of sadness and anger through this whole entire thing that we're in as well. But what I love is what I'm seeing, the creativity come out. You know, what's the opportunity for us to learn as human beings, as business people? How are we going to stay connected after? You know, will we continue to stay connected? I hope that we do. You know, the busy people are talking to me and they're telling me, I'm having a hard time keeping up. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the clients that I love, that normally I would reach out to, that I would check in on. I don't even have time to do that right now. And then you've got the people that are not able to provide their service, and they're having the mindset of, oh my gosh, last time I talked to my clients was when I told them, sorry, but I'm closing. I can't have you come in. So they're now going back to their clients and they're connecting differently, and they're having those conversations that they may or may not have had. So I think I'm seeing so many different kinds of connecting, and it's an exciting time. I think it can be scary. It can be maddening. It's very strange. I actually took a drive the other day, and I just needed to get out of the house, and I put the dog in the car and I rolled the windows down. It was before it was 105, to be fair. And I just drove, and I realized that I had left the house at 3:30 on a Friday. Normally that's a bad idea. Tucson is not known for wonderful traffic situations. And so by the time I came and I was coming back across town, it was about 5:15. And it was disconcerting because I was making every light. There was no traffic. And it was this realization of things really have changed. They've changed and they're different right now. And I don't actually love it. I don't love it. Even the safety features that we need to put in place, whether you believe it, whether you think we should or we shouldn't, doesn't really matter. You go out in public, you see it. Whether you think we need to, whether it doesn't even matter what side we're on, it's just factual. And so I think now more than ever, one of the things that has come out of us talking to our members and us staying connected better with our families, our friends, our members, is that now is a time to be compassionate. Now is the time to show more grace than we may have done in the past. Now is the time to be cognizant of the fact that we are not all the same. We are not all going to deal with this the same. We are not going to agree on how it's being dealt with or anything. And all of that is okay. So I believe now is the opportunity for us to stay connected and come together even more as a community. Obviously, what we do in BNI is we build those communities within the community. But I also know BNI isn't for everybody. And what I'm seeing, not just within the BNI community, but just in people in general, is the amount of help. So if someone is busy and they are making a living, they may be doing better than they were before. They're trying to find ways to help the members that aren't, or their colleagues that aren't. And the ones that need help are actually asking for it. And I don't know if they did that before. Some of us as entrepreneurs get very stuck in our ways and we think, I'm good, I don't need any help. And I'm hoping that we're realizing we do need each other. We need each other more than ever. And we have the ability to stay connected, and we need to be conscious, and we need to make sure that we're actually doing it with a mindset of how can we help, or you know what, I actually need help right now. So those were kind of the things that have come up for us that we're seeing that I hope will be helpful for you. Again, most of those ideas and just even the concepts came from our members. They didn't come from me. I'm not half as smart as our clients are.
Wonderful, thank you. I, as a photographer, it's something we can't do. And also, as you said, it gave me this opportunity to sort of lean into this other thing that I've been wanting to spend more time on, right? So there's this strange tug and pull that's definitely happening with it.
Yeah, I think the collaboration piece is the thing that makes me so excited. The where I'm seeing, in this world we live in, most of the time, like, oh, I'm not going to connect with another person that does what I do. I mean, why would I do that? They're my competition. And what we're seeing now is we need each other. Like, okay, so if you're in a business and you're super busy, you need to find out what the people are doing that are doing what you do. Like, how are you staying sane? Who have you hired? What kind of things are you outsourcing? Like, what am I missing? Right? And then you have the people that aren't busy. They need to be connecting with those same people, brainstorming. Who are you talking to? Who are you coming up with as far as a strategic alliance, so that when these doors open, when we are allowed to go back, even if things look a little bit differently, how do we hit the ground running and we're not like running on the treadmill, like trying to figure these things out? How are we being intentional about them? I think that's that collaborative piece is happening. I'm seeing it across the board, and that's an exciting thing. That's not a bad thing.
Right. Does anybody have any questions for Chrisie right now?
I just gave all the information. It was so
thorough, concise, and perfect.
I'm sure that's not it. Okay, good. We have questions.
I need to know more about Bugs Bunny, but we can answer that later.
I'll tell the quick story if we have time. I'm sure we'll probably have a few minutes.
Yes.
Martha, was that your question?
That was not my question, although I do want the answer for
okay.
sure. No, I was going to say, just for the people who maybe are watching the replay, so this group that you have that has started going online and people are still connected, how do they find out more information to come to one of these things?
So BNI, so our website is bniarizonasouth.com. The beautiful piece right now is that it is obviously much easier to visit a chapter now because you don't have to get in a car and drive to a meeting. So go to our website, find a chapter. I'm assuming, since this is my first one with Jessica, that my information will end up being up and attached to this. So you can feel free if you're like, I really don't want to try to search things out. You can always reach out to me. I am available to answer any questions for sure. But I would say that if you have not visited a chapter, or maybe it's been a while, it may be time to just take a look. I'm always the one that says BNI isn't for everybody, and that's okay. That doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. But I really feel like you're missing out if you don't at least go meet the people in the room. Forget about BNI, just go meet our people, because we've got amazing business professionals who have the biggest hearts on the planet. I just don't think you find the type of people anywhere in the world that we have in this organization. And that is not because of me. It's not because I own it. It's because we have fantastic people in our room. So really, I would encourage you to make sure that you are come check it out. Come visit for sure.
Yeah,
Martha, you gonna answer? You got that chat for me? Of course you do. You got me.
Yes, please come. There are lots of fabulous chapters with lots of amazing people, and I have built some of my best relationships and favorite people from meeting people in this I wouldn't say this region. It is this region, but in this organization, I should say.
Yeah, it's true. I often say that I made it through a divorce. I've made it through some very serious losses over the course of the last couple of years, and the people that I formed the relationships with in this organization are the ones that have my back and kind of protected me and butted up against me. I like to say, circled the wagons and made sure I was okay, took great care of my heart. So I'm very thankful.
Okay, great. So I guess my next question, what I'll ask you is, we're talking a lot about how people are having to pivot or change or adjust everything that they're doing. So what motivates you to take action instead of just sit back and dream?
Well, it's funny. I've shared with the members, when this whole thing started, I was under the impression that we may be overreacting. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of things going on. And we had a huge networking event. It was our first networking nights event that we did. It was March 11th. And it was kind of in the middle, it was just you were hearing about things and it was hitting. And I literally remember standing at the event, and on the big, huge screen, it said NBA canceled their season. And I said, okay, maybe this is a little bit bigger than I wanted to accept. And I think that's wrapping our heads around that, you know, and then our organization basically telling us this is what we're going to do to make sure that our members are safe. I don't know that I would have done that if it had been left to me. So I was really thankful that that was a decision that they made for us, because I don't know that I didn't foresee it. You know, now I'm in the middle of it, and I'm looking at it differently, but I can't take credit for changing the way that I thought about it. I think I was kind of forced into it, like some people across the world. I mean, take what I do out of it. I think I was just kind of like, you better realize, like, this is actually happening and you're going to need to make some changes, and it's going to change whether you want it to or not. So my biggest thing was, how do I find something positive in this? Because otherwise it's going to make me a little bit crazy, and I'm already on the verge of crazy. So nobody needs more crazy. All the members are like, yeah, she is.
Nobody is arguing that. I don't know if you noticed.
No,
that.
no. I'm surprised the chat bar is not blowing up at this point.
Okay, so describe a pivotal moment that happened in your career that changed the way you do business. So obviously what's happening now is going to be massively impactful on how people do business. I feel like 2008 really did the same thing, right? People were learning to pivot. And so what was a time that happened for you that changed how you do your business?
Yeah, well, 2008 impacted my appraisal business. That's why I had to figure out what else I was going to do, because the appraisal field was going away. It was changing. It wasn't going away, but it was definitely changing. And I didn't like the direction it was going, because it was going from relationships to you get on a list, and it wasn't about relationships anymore. I'd have to say, so I can pinpoint the day, November 4th, 2013. I was in a class that I was taking. It was at a BNI conference. It was with some very good friends of mine, Don Lyons, Mike Macedonio, and Eddie Esposito. And it was a super intensive 3-day course of people figuring out. We had to sign disclaimers. Like, it was very, very serious. You know, they only took 30 of us. And you pretty much knew that you were going in and it was going to get deep, and you were going to figure out some stuff, which is why I took it. And the whole entire point was to figure out if what you were doing was what you were supposed to be doing, and why do you do what you do. So I thought I had a brilliant idea of why I did what I did. She walked us through this entire lesson. I went first because I'm a crier, and I figured I'm just going to get that thing out of the way, and then I'm done. And so I told a story of, you know, I'm very young, and it was a point where I basically was told to be quiet by another elder that was not related to me. And then when I wasn't quiet, which I'm sure all of my BNI members would go, really, Chrisie, not quiet, so weird. She basically looked at me and said, "You're fresh, disrespectful, you'll never amount to anything." And now this is way back in the day. And what I didn't remember, what I thought was, well, I do what I do so that people have a voice. Like, it's important for people to have a voice in this business community. And she said, permission to coach, which I know some of you were like, oh, I don't love that. Well, we'd kind of already signed our life away by that point, where we'd already said yes. And so I said yes and crud all at the same time, because I knew she was going to get in there. And she asked me what my parents did, because they were in the room with me. Now, I'm 8. This was a very long time ago, obviously. I don't necessarily remember what they did, but my recollection was they didn't do anything. And maybe it was just the time. There was a dinner party. It was their friend's house. How do I handle this? Like, whoa. I know what I would do. I mean, I would have probably beaten her down, because you don't talk to my kid like that. Like, I mean, what are you doing? But it's a different time. It's a different age. My daughter would be like, yeah, my mom would definitely do that. And so she said, so why do you do what you do? And I was like, oh my gosh, like I grew up an only child, fairly volatile home life. My dad's been sober for 16 years. My parents are still married, but it was a tough life being the only kid at home. And I really had to be my own person, and I had to have my own back. And she said, okay, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in this organization where I get to create this space, or at least help create this space where all of these people can come together and they have each other's back, professionally and personally and just thoroughly. And she goes, and I'm like, selfishly, I get it too. I have people that end up caring about me, and they call me to check on me. And that was life-changing for me, because I didn't realize how important that piece was, that people had my back. So yeah, long answer to a very short question.
Oh, that's a great answer. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for her? Do you want to ask about that more?
Yeah, please do, if you do.
Yeah, totally open forum.
No questions scare me.
I can't form anything yet, but thank you for sharing.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well, since we're kind of digging into that kind of world, and the world right now is so full of anxiety and fear, how do you overcome fear and or anxiety? What's the best tip you have to deal with that sort of thing that kind of just scares you?
Yeah, I am not a person that has ever really dealt with any type of depression or anything like that. I've been very, very blessed. I have known a lot of people that have dealt with that. And that's something I because I haven't dealt with it, it's hard for me to understand. And yet about probably 3 weeks ago, I was sitting on the couch. I literally had been in Zoom meetings all day. I don't even think that I had gotten up to get a drink of water. And I was taking notes, and I finished my meeting, and I sat there and I literally just started crying. I had no idea why. And I'm like, you've got to go outside. You have to go outside. And we're renting a place right now. It's not my space, so I don't love anything about it right now. And I'm thankful for it, but I'm having a hard time loving it. And I walked outside and I sat at this little table, and my dog is sitting there looking at me. I made myself a sandwich, and I realized you cannot stay in the house and just do a meeting or meeting after meeting or type on the computer, because I am a people person. And so this whole entire thing is painful to me. I just miss people. I miss hugging people. I miss my BNI members. I just miss people. So I don't know if I have a tip. I just think that whatever it means for you, you have to make sure that you take care of you. And, you have to, Beth Meisner came on and she visited one of our chapters last week. And one of her shares was this breathing technique of breathing in for 4 counts, holding your breath for 4 counts, breathing out for 4 counts, holding your breath for 4 counts. And we did it about 3 or 4 times. And I literally felt 100 times better. And I was like, you're not even breathing right now. And I think it's kind of where we're at. So I would say I'm not great. I'm usually great at taking care of myself. And I think I've done a worse job now. I'm not eating the way that I need to eat because I'm home all the time and the chips are calling my name. So I think we need to be more self-aware, take the time for you, even if that means, telling the kids I'm going to lock myself in the bathroom. I need time out. I think we really need to take that time to just be okay with not being okay.
I think that's a great tip. We had Tabitha on not that long ago. We really talked about how just to allow it, that it's okay. So I think that's great too. And going outside, I don't even realize, just like you, I'm doing meetings all the time, and I don't even realize how much I've not walked outside. Like we have like a big lock on the door, and there are days when we go to bed and he goes to lock it, and he goes like, guess we didn't go outside today. Like, it doesn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, and that just isn't, that isn't normal. Like that is never going to be normal. And I think that we have to be okay with that. It isn't normal.
Right.
You know, it's not. And trying to make it normal, it's not good.
When going to get the mail is like the highlight of the day.
Yes. It is.
I know. Yeah, I wave at the recycle guy now. I'm like, he's probably like, who's the crazy lady waving at me? But I was like, oh, that's a person.
It's funny you should say that.
Look, another human contact.
But you're talking about connections. It's like, I know my UPS guy, I know my Amazon guy, I know my mailman, like so much better. We wave at each other now, and it's crazy, those things that would happen automatically. Now you're like, oh, you know what? Here comes Joe, and here comes Manuel, and it's hey, what's going on? How you doing? And it's that connection is missing right now. Even though we have it here in the family, it's that outreach outside of our bubble.
Yeah, and we have to be intentional about it now. Now more than now, we can't just take it for granted. Like, oh, I'm going to see everybody next week, so it's good. Or, we're going to meet for happy hour, so I know I can, I'm going to look forward to seeing them next week. It's not. It isn't the case. We have to be intentional. I know we switched out our internet because, go figure, when you have crappy internet and all you're doing is Zooming everybody, it's a little bit challenging to run your business. So our guy came out and actually came in, did all the work in the house, like on his day off. I'm like, do people still do this? And he said, well, I've been doing this for 30 years. And we needed the entire cable run because we live in a very old house. So there wasn't even cable run. So he came out. I thought that's what all he was going to do. So he knocked on the door and he said, I'm happy to set up everything for you. He literally came in, he unboxed everything, plugged in my modem. He set up the TV. He did everything. I'm like, is this normal? And he said, no, but it's nice to be around people. We were obviously away from each other, but, and he came out and he did the same exact thing for my father. Came out on his day off and just came out. And he said, it's nice to just connect with people and have customers that are happy to see me. And I thought, gosh, even the busy people, like that's the piece we're missing out on. Even the people that are out they're still feeling isolated,
right?
Still feeling it. So
yeah. I agree for sure. So being intentional and maybe getting outside and remembering to breathe correctly,
or at all.
Or at
I
all.
find
Yes.
I'm holding my breath. I'm like, wait, why are you holding your breath?
You're taking your shoulders out of your ears.
Yeah.
I keep on telling my children that they have to breathe outside air. I'm like, do your Zoom call, breathe outside air. That's not the garage, outside. And then I'll be like, I need to take that advice too.
I didn't do it. Right. Yeah.
Like outside
That's exactly
air.
it.
That's what I was just going to say. I send them out. I'm like, go get on the trampoline, go outside. But we're not going outside. So
we're telling them to, though, aren't we?
Yeah.
So funny. All right. You want to hear the Bugs Bunny story really quick? Then we'll finish things up. Okay. So I worked for a temp agency called Audia years ago here in Tucson. And you had to go in, you had to do the typing thing. And they ask you what your skills were. I was 19. I'm not sure I even knew what my skills were at that point. And I got a couple of different jobs, and then they called me and they said, hey, so Warner Brothers was moving into the Tucson Mall. So if you've been in Tucson for a long time, you remember Tucson Mall was a big deal. Okay. I mean, I was in junior high. I remember us going there. It was like the thing. Like the Tucson Mall was the mall. Mm-hmm. Park Place wasn't, it was still open air at that point, so Tucson Mall was a big deal. So they were opening the Warner Brothers store in the Tucson Mall. And what they needed was the characters. And I happened to be the right height and weight for Bugs Bunny. Pretty sure I'm not anymore because I'm fairly certain I couldn't get into the suit, but I was 19, so it's fine. Everything's fine. And so they called me, they said, here's the deal. So I'm 19, so this was over 30 years ago. And the pay was like $15 an hour, which then was like millions. It was so much money. And the piece was, when we got there, we realized you could only be in the suit 15 minutes at a time because it was hot. So we really only worked half an hour out of an hour, and we still got paid for an hour. That was the best part of the job. The worst part of the job was the minute you put the head on, you cannot speak, which again, for any of my members are like, really? Chrissie had a job where she couldn't talk. I'm surprised she kept the job because they didn't want any gender associated with Bugs Bunny. So I did a good job. It was playful. Nobody can get mad at Bugs Bunny, so you could get away with some stuff while you were in the costume for sure. And it was fun. The kids loved it, and everybody wanted their picture taken. So they called me back and they said, hey, so we want you in at the mall every weekend. So I was at the mall every weekend. And then they had a huge Warner Brothers convention at El Conquistador, where Warner Brothers officials, like big time people, were in from all over the world. It was July. It was so hot in that suit. So I remember us girls coming in, and we were all in our, shorts and our, all our t-shirts and everything. And by the end, we were in our bathing suit bottoms and our sport bras because it was like 130 degrees in those things. I probably lost weight playing Bugs Bunny, actually. But yeah, it was for about, I think, over the course of about a year and a half. So every time they needed somebody, and then I had a real job, so I couldn't go do it anymore. But it got me. I played the Easter Bunny for a couple of times too. But it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. My stepkids thought it was the coolest thing ever. My stepmom is Bugs Bunny. There you go.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you to tell us something good though, real quick. So what is something that you're taking with you out of everything you've done as you go into sort of what our new normal will be?
Something good. I can be very good at training and giving great advice and telling everybody what, being intentional and doing those things. And there are times I forget to do them. And so I'm definitely realizing that when I think of someone, I'm calling them, or I'm going to text them. I'm going to reach out to them. And I'm finding now more than ever that they needed it. Like, it wasn't some fluke almost. Like, they were in a space where, oh gosh, thanks so much for reaching out. So I think it's staying in the consciousness of being connected. Like, I think probably anybody that knows me would say, oh, she's super connected. Well, I'm not all the time. I'm very good at sitting on the couch binge watching Netflix, and that doesn't help anybody. I don't even think that helps me. So my goal is to definitely make sure that I'm connecting with people intentionally, and former members, friends that I haven't seen or heard from in a while, people from across the world that I only get to see once a year. I kind of tend to wait to see them, and now I'm realizing I don't have to wait to see them. I mean, we can jump on a Zoom call, we can jump on a Skype and just check in on each other. So that's one good thing. I do love spending time with my husband. He's one of my favorite people. And so, getting to spend more time with him has been great. But I miss spending time with the other people that I would normally spend time with. So lots of good things. I think there's going to be more good things than even that I'm aware of yet. That's what my hope is.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I love both those comments that I think there's gonna be more than we even realize right now too. And the connecting and staying, which is such a great tie-up since you're talking about how to be connected.
Weird. So crazy.
Does anybody have any final questions for Chrissie? Okay. So we started something new this time, which is the door prize. Chrissy's
Yes.
brought a door prize for everyone.
See it? You guys see
someone.
it? You guys see it?
Isn't that beautiful?
Yes. It's in my, everybody go crazy. I know. It's in my office. And I realized as I sat down, I was like, oh, I didn't grab it. I do have it, I promise. It's a lovely BNI mug that is engraved with our core values. And thank you to Michelle Barber, our engraving lady, because she's a rock star.
All right. So I have, whoops. Can you hear that?
Did you just delete us? Did you delete us?
No.
No pressure, but boy, these Zoom meetings.
Manuel Ruiz.
Don't.
I spun the wheel and we have a winner, and every time I go back to the screen it was doing it. the clapping and applause.
That's so funny.
Okay, so our winner was Kim.
All right.
So Kim, you get to get that. I'm sure Chrissy will arrange with you how to make that happen. Congratulations. I'm kind of jealous. I love me a new coffee mug every chance I get. So okay. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up then. Let's see. So I really appreciate that you took the time to come on here today, Chrissy. I appreciate all of your knowledge and everything that you do for our region. I really see your passion for it, and I definitely can feel how important every single person in this chapter, in my chapter, the best chapter, right? In the region is to you. So thank you for all of your incredible knowledge and for taking out the time, like I said. How can people best connect with you if they want to learn more? I know we talked about your website a little bit. Is there anywhere else they need to go?
So the website is probably the easiest. So that's, again, www.bniarizonasouth.com. You can also reach out to me. Our phone number is 520-982-5131. And that's a textable number. I know we're definitely living in the texting age now more than ever, I feel like. I'm hearing voicemails, where they're like, you can leave a message or you can text me and get a better response from me. My 19-year-old is always like, Mom, did you seriously leave me a message? What is wrong with you? I'm like, no. People still leave messages, Sydney. So you can leave me a message and I will call you back. Or email is my first name, which is CHRISIE @bniarizonasouth.com. So either of those ways are great ways. And again, I would just encourage you to come meet my awesome people, because even if it's not for you, or maybe it's not the right time, you probably know somebody that could use the room. So I would say now is a great time to come meet the people.
Right, and now is easier than ever. You can visit all of the chapters in a week and never have to take off your pajama pants.
So true. Just make sure you don't get up.
Right.
Yeah, I actually did that in a Zoom meeting the other day. My director meeting. Thank goodness it was my director meeting. I had Bill's basketball shorts on, no lie. I've got a blouse on, and the door blew open. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my door blew open. And the minute I stood up, I was like, you got shorts on. I mean, that in and of itself is a good thing, but it was the things you don't ever think about when you go to a real meeting, right? Like, you don't wear basketball shorts to a meeting, so I don't have to worry about being stressed about it.
Such an excellent point.
I was in a meeting yesterday with somebody who thought they had turned off their video. And so it turned off and then it turned back on, like that they were obviously on their phone. And sure enough, we could see the toilet paper off the roll. Couldn't see anything of them. They obviously had set the phone down, like under the toilet paper roll. But we were all like, they tried.
Don't take your phone to the bathroom. It's that easy. You don't need your phone in the bathroom.
Ever.
I have said, I'm not even sure I remember. Okay, I just looked at my board. So my word at the beginning of the year was bold and present. And this year, after all of this, it has really changed to grace, because everybody needs so much of it, including myself.
Yes.
with
Yes.
myself and with everyone else.
So true. So I haven't been on Zoom, but I have now 3 times in the last 3 weeks had my phone in my back pocket, gone to the bathroom, and the phone, bloop, I'm like, really, Chrissy? Like, how many times is that going to happen before you realize? Manuel's like, really? Really? You guys do that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that kind of stuff happens, man. It happens. Good
Great.
times.
Thank you again. I'm going to take all of the links and information you gave us, and it is going to go in the top above the video for everyone to reach you, as well as when the video goes on the blog, everyone will have a way to contact you there as well.
Thank you for having me, and thank you so much. I know you've had just phenomenal people on, so thanks for having me on. I really, really
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if any of you would like to know more about what we're doing here at REfashiond Magazine or Fleur de Lis Photography, make sure to like and follow our pages. I'll have those links in the comments below. And see our upcoming meets, as well as the replays of all of our past interviews at our website at refashionedmagazine.com. Thank you, all of you. Thank you guys for coming on the call today. Thank you for wearing all of your red. I'm so happy to see you all in that. Please take care of yourself, stay healthy, keep diving into your business during all of our social distancing, and come visit the BNI chapters. Everyone would be so happy to have you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.